back to Carren's Couch. I'm so excited to talk to you guys about today's show. We've put a lot of effort into bringing these two awesome women together, so I'm sure you're all going to absolutely love what we're going to be talking about. Today, I want to introduce you to somebody very, very special, and she's almost like a rock star in a bikini. I think that's probably the best way to describe that. We've got on Carren's Couch with us today, we've got Vanessa Bryce from Vive Swimwear.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
My
Carren.
pleasure. Thanks for coming. And then we've also got somebody on Skype who's very near and dear to my heart. The beautiful, stunning, gorgeous, words cannot describe Susie Jacobs. Welcome to the show, my love.
It is an absolute pleasure to be here. Thanks for asking me, Carren.
Aww. So today, what we really wanted to talk about, we get lots of feedback, we get lots of emails and lots of questions from our audience about really what an entrepreneur is. What does it take to be an entrepreneur? What's the difference between an entrepreneur and a business person? Really, what's the differences? How does somebody actually become a success with their message or their product? And I've tried to answer those emails and I've tried to answer those questions, but I don't know that I necessarily cover it in enough depth, because sometimes I'll look at what I do and how I do it and I'll think, yeah, there's definitely challenges, but I don't know that I'm significantly different to every other human being in business out there. I don't actually think that I'm that different. So I don't know what I don't know about what I don't know.
I get that.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah. So today I thought we'd bring to our viewing and listening audience two amazing entrepreneurs, two extraordinary women who have gone from practically nothing to building something that is exceptional, and two extraordinary women who have amazing visions even beyond today. So I think if I was to coin a phrase on what an entrepreneur is, for me, I think the entrepreneur is somebody that has a business or a message, is willing to take a risk to bring it to life, but it's a business that's constantly evolving. It never reaches its evolutionary end because it's always growing, it's always changing. And I'm looking at both of you girls at the corner of my eyes and you're nodding your heads. So let's start with you, Susie, if that's okay. Let's start with you. In a nutshell, who are you? Tell our viewers and our listeners who the amazing Susie Jacobs is and why I love her so much.
Just a crazy chick out on a mission.
She's a crazy chick. I'm just going to throw it there. See, we don't edit Carren's Couch.
I love it.
She's a crazy chick.
I have a speech impediment, so like whether I'm on stage or whether I'm talking to clients or right here, it's on show for everyone.
Nice. So you fit right in.
We're good with that. I think that going back to your point around vision, I think it's a really great point that you make. I'm running a franchise webinar this evening as we go across the globe. And there's a PowerPoint, and one of those slides is talking about our vision and where it is currently. But what I'll be saying about that vision is it evolves moment by moment. And so it's an ability to work very much in the here and now and be okay with uncertainty. So I can say to you, we're going to be a global organisation. We're going to go across the world. But in 5 years, we will be international. Do I have any idea how that's going to happen? Not really. Like right now, do I know? No, but it's a journey I'm willing just to be on.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to be on it, and to have that level of vision and continue to get what you need, because every day you're in business, there are new challenges. Every time you grow a business, you're working in a space that you never worked in before.
That's so true, isn't it?
It is, definitely.
Need to learn more, to learn more, and to be in that space where you're taking that on is, I think, a critical part of being an entrepreneur.
So just so that everybody knows what you do, Susie is the founder and the owner of one of Australia's biggest women's networks, specifically for business and business women, isn't it?
Absolutely. So we took a completely different look at the idea of building community and building team. And There are some startling statistics in Australia around 50% of business owners, female business owners, don't pay themselves a wage. 50%. 73% do not pay themselves superannuation. So people don't need to network in order to find customers. That's helpful. We created a community which is about each person becoming a better businesswoman. And so we meet, and that community is built on the ideals of delivering knowledge and skills, developing the kind of mindset that we need as entrepreneurs, and creating the strong and supportive community around it. Yeah. So you're not there as a referral business. You're not there trying to gain business, although that happens. It is this idea of becoming a better businesswoman. And we have different levels of membership that you can buy into, depending on whether you've been in business for 6 months or 20 years. And we have that full spectrum of business owners within that range.
And that's really cool, Susie, because that's a very different take on what the marketplace is currently providing when it comes to networking groups. Because traditionally you go to a networking group, you know, there's a whole bunch of people in the room, you flick your cards across the room and hope for the best. But I think that what you've done, and I dare say that the same is going to be true for you, Vanessa, is that what you've done is you've looked at what's currently available in the marketplace and said, how can I do that better? Or how can I improve on that, or add my own flavour to it, add my own style and my own personality to it, so that then it becomes compelling for people. Because if it's compelling for you, and I think this is one of the secrets to entrepreneurialism, is if your desire or your talents is compelling for you, of course it's going to be compelling for others. It's just a case of finding who those people are and where they hang out.
Right.
Yeah. So Vanessa, tell us about your story. Tell us about Vive and...
Yeah, well, I guess when I started, it's the 10-year anniversary this year.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's exciting. So,
wow.
Yeah, but I guess when I started, I definitely didn't see myself as an entrepreneur. It was more that I love designing. So, went in going, oh, I love designing. I want to have my own label. I guess that's probably what a lot of designers think. And it's not till, you start the business and get more involved in the business that it becomes a little bit less about the designing and more about the business, which that's been really exciting too, because I've learned so much, and I've had to, to make the business a success. And that's what I love. I just love to learn more and more, and I think that is, for me, is the key. The key to success for me is learning. So, and passion, keeping the passion and excitement. It's all about living with passion for me. Yeah.
So your product or your business is a very unique edge to swimwear.
Yeah, and I guess it's just what you were saying, like if it's appealing to yourself. And years ago I loved the Brazilian cut sexy swimwear, and there wasn't much on the market at all.
What's the Brazilian cut for everybody?
Okay,
explain the Brazilian cut.
So a Brazilian cut is just a bit briefer over the bottom, so very sexy, and I think it's a lot more flattering to the bottom. So I just love that sexy cut. And
is a Brazilian wax necessary?
Yes.
I don't know where that came from, but I felt compelled to say it.
I think that there are lots of women out there who would want to know the answer.
Yeah.
I'm just saying what they're thinking.
Yeah, I would go for that as well. So, and I guess my friends like the swimwear as well. So I was making swimwear for myself and my friends, and then I thought, I travelled. Another big passion of mine is travelling, and so I travelled for about 6 years on and off, and sewed my way around the world just to fund my travels. And it was when I came back, I thought, oh, I better get a real job. And it was actually when I was sitting in Brazil, and I was like, okay, I want to start a label. What am I going to do? And I went, of course, Brazilian cut swimwear. But I wanted to work with beautiful things, and so I thought, how can I wanted to pretty up the swimwear so that I'm designing swimwear cuts that I love, but also make them a bit sexy and glamorous, and so added jewels and beading, and just so I was always working with beautiful things. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! And your swimwear is stunning. I really want to deck out my wardrobe with some of your cozies, but I need to do some work on my butt. Really. Gonna have to do some work on my butt.
The cuts really help to give you that nice perky buff. They do.
That's I think it's really amazing to hear both of you. You as entrepreneurial women? Because I actually know that both of you girls have got kids too.
Yes.
And that comes with its own challenges to be able to build a business while you've got children. And one thing I know, and I get asked this question often, particularly by people who are new to business, is they look at you and they look at you, Susie, and they say, right, well, if you've got that, I can have that. And then they go in ferocious pursuit of trying to match or equal your level of success, but they haven't got your longevity. They haven't been in business as long as you guys have been. And I think that there's a real art to it, and there's no such thing as an overnight success. You know, my dad always used to say that the marketplace rewards longevity. So the more you're in it and the more consistent you are doing what you're doing, the greater chance those opportunities that look like they arrived overnight actually do come your way. Do you guys agree with that? What do you think, Vanessa?
Yeah, I guess I do. I don't know. I'm thinking of someone in particular that was, to me, seemed a bit like an overnight success. So I guess that popped into my head first off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree with you. As for me, the longer I've been in business, the more I've learnt. The bigger the business is growing, and the further I'm achieving my goals.
The more opportunities become available. It just seems to be that way. You build more profile, you get more well known.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah. Especially with the international market, I'm finding, it's sort of started off slow, and now it's the more I'm getting known, the more that Veeb's getting known. The international is just growing and growing, sort of.
And I think that that's a really important point to talk about, because Susie's about to take her business internationally. And I think that, Carren's Couch is going internationally. There's a lot of women now that are stepping into an international market because the internet facilitates that.
So easy these days.
We are in a global world, and I think that there's a shift in perception, I think, that's necessary. Do you think, Susie, in terms of the way that we see our businesses? Traditionally, in the past, we may have just seen our businesses as something that's ours and it's local, and not really given thought to the fact that the internet opens up the doors to a global marketplace. Is that the same?
Yeah. Look, I think you touched on a couple of points. There is no overnight success. The sooner we name that, if there are overnight successes, they're a rarity. It's a Justin Bieber. And they flare up and they die down very quickly. That's not a sustainable business model. So we had lost everything that we owned in the GFC 5 or 6 years ago. So we started from nothing, to the point around having children and working. I'm always very open with people that I have sacrificed a hell of a lot over the past few years. When I started out, I was working 7 days a week. I didn't spend time with my kids on the weekend because I was working. And that was a choice that I made. Now, when we started off and we talked about having that vision and being prepared to absolutely track that vision down, you need that, because there are times where you think, why am I doing this? Why aren't I out there cooking a Sunday roast for my kids? And instead I'm stuck in here. So you need that vision to keep you on course. But years down the track, I don't work 7 days a week now. But that's taken time. And that's taken sacrifice. And I used to do everything in my business. And Vanessa was saying something similar. I don't do that now. There are things which I used to love doing in my business, which I've now given away, because when you take on that CEO mentality, you have to step into a different role in your business. So the more you can step out of the doing in your business and get that mentality of the CEO, the more you start seeing those global opportunities. That's when you start seeing yourself as a business owner and an entrepreneur, and where are the opportunities for my business. So no overnight success, takes huge sacrifice. And I started with nothing. So I didn't have the funds to invest $100,000 into my business immediately. That would have taken the pressure off. I would have been able to employ people from the very beginning. What we know about female business owners is they are much more risk averse than men. So they go into business undercapitalized. And what happens when you do that, you've got two choices. You either work your ass off and work 7 days a week and do everything, or you've got to find that money. If you're not prepared to invest in yourself, they're the only two ways you have. Mm-hmm. And then you've got to build. And as you build and you build sales, you start reinvesting that money back into the business. And I wish I could say I was drawing thousands from my business as a personal salary. I sacrificed that to continue building my team so I can continue delivering on the vision I have for She Business.
Was it a similar journey for you, Vanessa, when you started the business? Did you really have to back yourself, believe in yourself?
Definitely.
Trust that all that effort and work was going to eventually pay off?
I remember sitting at a doctor one time, and I said, just before I was about to start, and I said, I'm starting my swimwear label, and he said, are you any good? And I was like, I'm the best. and it came out so, and I thought, and then also my former employer, when I said to them, I'm leaving because I'm going to start, and they said, oh, you think you can make it work? I was like, I know I can make it work. Whether it was a bit naive about what I was going to head into at the time, I think that gutso and that helped me, I really did have belief in,
What is that? What's that? And Susie, I know you've got the same thing because I know you personally. Yeah. That what you just said.
Yeah, to me,
you just know it's going to work.
Yeah,
what is that?
To me, it's passion. Like passion, I think, and that feel good. Like I work on my feelings and emotions so much, and trust my gut. And I think because I believe that your feelings and thoughts create your life, and so I try to keep my feelings and thoughts positive, happy, upbeat. Where I want to go, and I always try to keep that passion, and that gives me the faith and the belief, I guess. Yeah.
So I think that's a key ingredient in entrepreneurialism, is being willing, because it's not just a case of saying, okay, there's a cliff. Being an entrepreneur means I have to jump off the cliff, i.e. take a risk.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that. I think that from what you girls are saying is that entrepreneurialism is about seeing something that you want to go after, that you're passionate about, that you believe
about. And I think when you're doing something that you love and you're excited about and you're passionate about, everything just falls into place. It's like you're supposed to be doing it. Yeah. And for me, that totally happened, like this, just one thing after the other sort of set its way, like it was saying, yes, do this. So I was like, okay, I'll do it.
So that in and of itself is also very interesting, because the growth of your business unfolded step by step, and you followed the path, right?
Yes.
Whereas there's another way of being in business. I'm the same as you, where my business kind of unfolds and I participate as it unfolds, and I get great visions and ideas as it unfolds. But I don't think I had the vision of what my business would be today 10 years ago. I think I didn't see this far ahead.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I was listening to an audiobook the other day, and it was saying something about, a business without a strategy and a plan, which I believe you do have to have a strategy and a plan. But as I said, I didn't start out really. It was just like, oh, I love designing. I'll make some bikinis, And I guess I did want it to go big, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. I've kind of just been learning that as I go. And I learn every day, audiobooks, books. I love to learn, and people, mentors.
Yeah.
From people that have already done it. And
shows like this.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah.
So that brings me to another question then, which I think is relatively important on the journey. None of it's easy. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. Some of it does come easily. Yeah. Some of it comes really, really easily. And I think that comes back to the way that you think and what you create and how you participate in your ride. And I know, Susie, you feel exactly the same way. We've had many a long conversation with the red wine about it. So I think that the other thing about entrepreneurialism is the being willing to participate with whatever comes, because it's not always easy, and sometimes there are real hurdles and challenges where you find yourself way outside your comfort zone, and there are,
which is when you get growth.
Yeah. So what goes on for you, Susie? Like, what do you think about when you come across a challenge that you're totally out of your league, completely new territory, no doubt feeling vulnerable, and sometimes potentially even fear. I know I still feel that. It doesn't matter how experienced a person is. Sometimes I can think, oh my goodness, what if I'm putting it all at risk?
Yeah, 100%. The fear, I'm often asked how you overcome fear. It's a work in progress. It's ongoing. And fear was my sort of solitary companion for many, many years. It ruled my life for about the first 30 years of my life. I know fear well. And there are many, many days on my journey where I fearful. And what I've now recognized is, whereas fear used to stop me, so it was either flight or freeze, I was great at darting off. And I see this a lot of the time is when people feel fear, they go, all right, I'll just go off and do this. I'll just go down and I'll just go to chase this. This is going to be the answer, instead of being with that fear. And then I have a range of things I do when I feel fearful. Over the last couple of days, when that's kicked in, I just go, right, where can I take action? Like, where do I just need to take masses of action? And I go out there and I go to find somewhere who I can add value to and where I can be of service. Yeah. And that just kicks me straight out of that fearful mindset. Other times it's something that I might need to do to nurture myself. And a bit like Vanessa said, it's audiobooks, it's listening, it's reading, it's being around people. That never stops. I don't believe anyone, and I'd love to hear your opinion. And so the thing that I'm talking to business owners all the time, and it comes back down to investment as well, is there ever a time you're not going to have a mentor, or you're not going to be looking for that sort of positive influence from people who have done it before you? I won't.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I think that in business there's a lot of uncertainty. And when there's uncertainty, because it's unpredictable, you don't know what the future's going to hold. So when there's uncertainty, it can be quite paralyzing, because it really stumbles the belief that we have in our own potential to create what we saw, or to bring to fruition what we saw. So because we feel a little stumbled in our potential, we don't go and take those masses of action, as you said, Susie, and then of course we don't get the result that we want, which then has us believe in ourselves even less. And then we take less action, we then believe in ourselves less again, we take less action, and then we work ourselves out of our dream. Which I think that there's a statistic, isn't it, that most businesses fail within the first 5 years. And I strongly believe that what happens is businesses like that don't grow. They just go into business, fulfill the first year, and then repeat that first year 5 times. So they haven't actually been in business for 5 years, it's just 5 of the same first year where there's been no willingness to participate in something uncertain. And I think that that's possibly another key of entrepreneurialism, is a willingness to feel it and do it anyway.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Is a quote that I heard was, successful people have doubts and fear, but they act in spite of doubts and fear. So that really stuck with me. It's like, it's okay to be doubtful and have fear, but just act in spite of it, just do it anyway. And the same as Susie said, I have lots of different tools that I use when I have those fears or doubts that help me get back onto a feel-good, so it doesn't paralyze me.
Like what?
So,
what do you do?
So I have audio books. Definitely work for me, or reading.
What sort of books do you listen to and
lots
read
of
to?
Motivational, whether it's business or a bit more spiritual, or self-development. And Robin Sharma is who I'm listening to at the moment. I love
Robin Sharma.
Robin Sharma, yes. Yeah, I love him. The monk who sold his Ferrari.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, there's heaps that I like. So I do that. And I also know that to get what I want, I need to, feel good about it, because I know if I don't feel good, it sort of holds me away from what I want. So I try to make myself feel good. And
so that's the whole law of attraction.
Law of attraction, definitely. That works huge for me in my life. So I do the gratitude thing. So I start going for what I want. I go, thank you for, and I just thank you. I list through everything until I'm feeling like powerful.
That's a really important process, I think, because it's about who we're being while we're participating in the dream. And if who we're being while we're in in this
Exactly.
world is somebody that's resigned, cynical, over it, doesn't want to
Yeah.
play, totally gripped by fear, then that's going to bring about its
Yeah.
own results.
Exactly. And I look at life like, I believe, for me, I feel like I'm in heaven. This planet is heaven.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. And I think, because it's so beautiful. I mean, look, oh my goodness, this is heaven. And we have everything here to fulfill all of our dreams and desires and give us joy. And I go, wow, like this is heaven. And so I think if I have a negative thought, I go, but I've got another day in heaven. I'm not going to waste that day in heaven. I've got everything I need to enjoy it. So that's how I look at
That's
it. Yeah.
beautiful. And I think that, there's a recipe for richness. And Susie, I know you'll agree with this too. There's a recipe for richness that really requires the full, the full vision to be fulfilled with the family, with the relationships, with the business, with the finances, spiritually, emotionally. And ideally, we would have all of those cups beautifully full. But sometimes it's a case of juggling them, and sometimes the relationship's not so good, but the business is great, or the kids is, getting left behind and the relationship's awesome. So sometimes it's a bit of a juggling act. How do you cope with that? Like, how do you try to maintain, and I hate the word balance because I don't understand it at all. I have no balance in my life whatsoever. It's totally a juggling act. But I can only imagine that it would be even more challenging when you throw kids into the mix.
Sure. And look, I hate any conversation that talks about superwoman or women having it all or work-life balance. The sooner we get around to having conversations about defining our own success. I'm prepared to I'm prepared to sacrifice 7 days a week for 3 years in order to fulfill my vision. That might not be somebody else's definition of success. So that's that ownership, knowing ourselves.
Exactly.
And what's important to us. And that comes down to a value proposition.
I think we're going to make a bumper sticker out of you, love.
Yeah.
Do I have to be on the bumper or?
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be nice. Yeah, Susie said.
Yeah. I like it.
I love it.
I like it.
One of the things that I thought, and Vanessa, you're probably the same, and you no doubt too, Carren. There are, as we evolve and we're on this journey, it's almost like there's an enlightenment all the way along, whether it's around business skills or around people or around that's what's going on. So at the beginning of this year, what was really clear for me is I don't want to do anything that doesn't make a difference. So I engage when it comes to my personal life, my family, and my business. If it doesn't make an impact, I don't do it. So I think about staying focused. And that gives me absolutely clarity when I decide, what am I going to do? And if you're taking that level of ownership to your life, and designing it, that old saying about if you don't design your life, somebody will come along and do it for you. You'll just be on the ocean being pushed around by other people. We're obsessed with this idea of, hi, how are you, Vanessa? I'm really, really busy. Everyone has to be really busy. If we actually stop being busy and looked at how we're going to make an impact and make a difference, and we focus on that, that gives you breathing space in your life. And it's certainly given me breathing space in my life, just making my decisions based on that.
And for you, Vanessa, being able to juggle everything that you need to juggle, given that you are, you've got a large part of your business is Australian based.
Yes.
And then what percentage is international now?
It's moved up to, in the last few years, it's gone from 5% up to we're about 45% now.
Tell us how that happened, because I think this is quite fabulous.
Well, it was a number of things, really. Like, it definitely was a number of things. Just more, social media has been fabulous, and I have a lot of great people that help to promote my business through social media. Not only the models that I use, but also my customers, who I look at as we're all one big family, and so I think because you know, we all sort of support each other, and my customers promote me as well. So, through social media, that's opened up to international. So I guess it started from there. And then also another big key factor is Crystal Hefner, who's Hugh Hefner's wife.
Love this story. Love this story.
She has co-designed a collection with us, and the more we've sort of developed a relationship with her, the more she feels like part of the family again, and so the more she promotes Vive, and that's been wonderful because she has a huge following, and that's really helped international sales as well. Yeah,
because they did end up getting married in the end, didn't they?
Yes, yeah.
So, so now the percentage of your international business is 40%?
About 45. Getting up to 45%, yes. Yeah.
So how do you manage that? How do you manage to continue to grow your Australian contingent at the same time furnishing an overseas demand and being a wife and kids and all of that? How do you...
I guess like Susie, in the early days, it's like, you know, there was, I was working around the clock, and, you know, so that first year, it was like you do everything. I was working around the clock, and I guess over the years, through learning, it's just becoming easiger because I've sort of given roles to other people to do. So that kind of allows me to do more of the thinking and the planning and the business side of it. And then I just love having fun and I love my family, and so that's really important to me. So, you know, I make sure I get as much fun as I can with my children and my husband, and still love to travel. So I just know what I want. I guess what it is knowing what you want. I wrote down my ideal life, several years ago, and I look at it now and I go, wow, you know, still growing, but it's I'm living it. Which and I think to get where you, how are you going to get to where you want to go if you don't actually know what you want? So for me, it was really important to write that down, my ideal life, and my ideal life wasn't working 7 days a week, and it was, you know, like it was traveling and spending time with my family, having fun with friends and family, partying, and, you know, all of that
stuff.
And so it's sort of, I think, just knowing that I wanted that and going, okay, how am I going to do it, and feeling good about it and excited about it, just sort of started to happen, and more and more. So
it's amazing that we can have what we want to the extent that we're clear, and I think that's certainly what both of you have really iterated here today. We are at the end of our time with you girls now, which is a real tragedy. I know.
Well, I've just lost Susie, so
you've just lost Susie's connection. I thought it was really quite interesting. I'm going to close on this note in a second. I had a quick look before we started the show, and I found the 25 most common characteristics of an entrepreneur. And one of them is do what you enjoy, take what you do seriously, plan everything, manage your money wisely.
Yes.
I think that's been absolutely key. Be prepared to ask for the sale. And I just we didn't get to cover this off, but I really wanted to make it clear that a person doesn't have to be an introvert or an extrovert necessarily to be successful. Yeah. Success follows the creator.
Yes.
Success follows the creator.
And can I just say on there that when I started in business, people thought I wasn't tough enough or hard enough, and I didn't want to change my warm fuzziness. Like, I like that about me, and for me that has been, I've made it work for my business, and I think it's really, I'm really proud that I've shown that I can be, really caring about my customers and not like, and I think that's important, adding value, and that's been a big key. So I don't feel like I've had to be hard or tough or too serious or, And
I think you've raised a really good point in that in a lot of business environments, women still today feel like they have to behave in a masculine way and sacrifice their own femininity. Yeah. But I think that the tables are really turning on that now, that we can be ourselves and still be successful.
Exactly.
It also says become a shameless self-promoter without being obnoxious. That's a little caveat there. Project a positive business image, get to know your customers, level the playing field with technology, build a top-notch team. And when you start at the beginning and you're doing everything yourself, that's just how it rolls. Eventually the business starts to make enough money that you can pay other people to support you. But until that point, keep your head down and your freckle up and keep going. Become an expert, create a competitive advantage, invest in yourself, which I love how you do that. Be accessible, build a rock solid reputation, sell the benefits, get involved, grab attention with sequence preferably. Master the art of negotiations, i.e. she business Susie Jacobs. Design your workspace for success, get and stay organised, take time off, limit the number of hats you wear, and follow up consistently. So I thought those were really great points to encapsulate what it really takes. And it doesn't take somebody being, as Susie was saying, a superstar or a woman that can have it all. It doesn't take that. There's no special gene that you're born with when it comes to being an entrepreneur. It just takes the willingness to participate, and it takes the willingness to create as you go along. Yeah. So I want to thank both of you amazing women for joining in on the conversation.
Thanks, Carren. Thank you.
An absolute pleasure, Carren, and lovely to meet you, Vanessa.
Thanks, Susie.
So join us here again on Carren's Couch next week, where we're going to be exploring all things deep, dark and wonderful, and we're going to be answering all of your unanswered questions with the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. We'll see you here again next week on Carren's Couch. Thanks for tuning in. Bye for now.